So welcome back to Roofer Stuck Adventures. I'm going to do a series of Vango tent reviews. I'm going to start off with this one, the Vango F10 series Radon 2. Just brand new. I've just taken the label off and one of the straps and a couple of little labels inside. So it's not been erected yet. So I'll just put this on the weighing scale, and we are getting 1855 grams. So yeah, pretty lightweight for a two-man tent. I'll get it up and see how it looks. So this is the inner pegged out onto the floor. As you can see, it's a little bit narrower at this end, the foot end, than it is at the head end. I think this is about 1.1 and this is about 1.3 meters across. I'll get my tape measure out, see what the length is. I think it's stated as 2.1 meters, which when it's erected, these ends will be quite vertical, so making the best of that 2.1 meters. Should be quite spacious inside. One of the good things about these tents is it's a hub pole system with a crossing bar, but it only has a V on one end. This end only is a straight pole, so you can't get it the wrong way around. That one goes in there, and the V goes in the 2 points. So there's never going to be any confusion about, oh, which way around should I put it. Just makes it nice and easy and simple, and reduces that V section here, lightening the weight. And from my Radon 1, I found that it's been more than stable enough in wind. Doesn't necessarily need that, but definitely pitch this end, which has the two poles, into the wind, so the prevailing wind would come this way, which would be the head end. So with the poles up, they just clip in to these little easy clip points, and then the crossing bar. With this, you can either have this under or flip it over. I usually have it under, but I guess if you need a bit more tension on it, you can flick it over the other way around. But we'll see how it looks when I get the fly sheet on, whether it needs that extra tension or not. I think usually I leave them underneath. So one of the big advantages I see with these Vango Radon tents over similar tents, say like MSR, Big Agnes, Nemo, for instance, is the ground sheet. The ground sheet is a polyester 70 denier waterproof 5000 hydrostatic head. You don't need an additional ground sheet underneath, whereas virtually all the other nature hikes and etc. tents do. They run a 20 denier 3000 millimeter hydrostatic head ground sheet. This doesn't need it. You can add it for peace of mind, but you don't need to. So that weight that I said before, 1856 grams, was it? That's it, done. You don't need to add anything else. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. Another thing with this, and that's one of the things I really like about this Radon series, is see how this is solid up here, solid down the bottom where you need it for the mesh, so you keep the draft off your head, mesh in the middle, and then solid on the top. So if you get any condensation build up overnight and then the wind picks up and then the condensation comes off your fly and lands on the top of there, this is slightly waterproof. The water will run off nicely down this way and away she goes. You won't actually get wet inside. A lot of other tents, this has mesh right to the top, and there's videos online where it's raining inside people's tents effectively because they have condensation. The wind picks up, it starts shaking all the top of the tent and it falls like rain inside. People are getting wet. Vango have thought about that and tried to mitigate it as much as possible. Also, as you can see, have the TBS system inside, or TBX as it's called, I think, these days. This just sits quite nicely in a cross system, little line lock, tighten that up. But even without it, the material does quite a lot of work stabilizing this. And then you have this other one that runs from the pole end up to the apex, but that can be unhooked and moved down to here if you find that it's in your way a little bit. It's certainly on my Radon 1 in the way a little bit, but on this Radon 2 I think less so, just because there's more space inside. Little pockets up the top, big load of pockets along the back, dump pockets for the doors here and here. Yeah, so all your pockets are at the head end, None down the bottom end, but why would you need them down there? Loose thread. Sort that one out in a minute. Right, let's get the fly sheet on it. Okay, so here we are with the fly sheet on. It's a lovely dark forest green, all darker than the heliums and the older version, which was much more of a mossy olive green. This is a lot darker. Still fantastic for blending in though. Obviously, the red is where the zip for the doors are. So these just peg out onto here. Fly sheet hooks nicely onto these little clips. They just clip on nicely, zip tie up, and then you can peg it out. I find that if there's too much tension on this strap to the other end, you can actually peg this the other way. You can turn that around and then peg it kind of back the ways. Guy line there, as you can see, 2 doors, 2 vestibules, little points to tie back the doors on both sides, and then at the head end we have a large vent with a prop and a fly mesh, just like a little bit of wire or plastic tube in there or something. And then the guy lines on the radon come off the poles instead of like the Krypton. I think it's the Krypton comes from here. A lot of tents come from this point, which gives you no actual strength to the poles. So the guy line would pull in this direction, in the line of the pole, stop it from buckling in that way. Again, as you can see here, we've got the blue marker points which denote the head end. So you have blue down here, and then you're putting the fly on, you've got a blue, and that's it really. It's quite simple. 2 little loops up inside to attach on there, and 3 velcro points. There's a velcro point here and here, and then a little velcro point for the fly to the pole underneath here, right where the guy lines are. Right then, so zip it up, 2, 3 velcros, and as you can see, you can open it from the top as well. And there's a fantastic little feature on this tent that I absolutely love. They're inside here. Where is it? There's a little pocket, but there's a little standoff which velcros onto there. If I can do it one-handed. Difficult. There you go. Velcros that onto there, so you can leave your tent vented at night whilst effectively still zipped up. That is a feature that I tried to make for one of my helium tents, and didn't particularly succeed on it. And then the radon came out, and lo and behold, Vango have introduced it themselves. Fantastic. Yeah, I love that little trick. So going in the tent, Vango's designed that for the wind, prevailing wind, to be blowing into the head end, because you can see the storm flap is this way, so the wind would flow over the tent that direction. This is a bigger door than this side, but as you can see, there's points where you can roll it back either way. I actually prefer to roll this side back because it puts me straight into the head, and then this larger area underneath here is where I put my bag. So I actually open it, generally they open it the other way, but I guess that would depend on the weather. So going inside the tent now, have quite a nice, I wouldn't call it a large vestibule, but it's certainly not small. Certainly big enough to get your bag in there and your boots, and maybe even sit in the doorway and do a bit of cooking. Moving on inside, you can see the head end. There's row of pockets. Just cut the labels out. You get a big bunch of labels there telling me not to have a bonfire in my tent, obviously, so I just cut them out. A couple of overhead pockets, and then as you can see, the vestibule on the other side. One of the other lovely little features, this is that prop open on there, and then there's another feature on this door, on both doors, is this little pocket here. this little pocket is for, so you can put a walking pole up in there like that, down here, and that will just support up underneath this point here. Doesn't go all the way to the top, but it will just give enough tension without applying too much to the pole and the fabric to hold it up. And there's one on either side, as you can see. There's the other prop, and there's the other pocket in there. So laying down in it, I am sitting upright. Obviously I haven't got a mat in here. I am probably 1.5 foot away from, 1.5 foot away from the apex to my head before I start hitting the back of the tent. And again, you got another 1.5 foot. My head's here at the moment, so you got a huge amount of space. I mean, my head's back and my arm's completely stretched out, and I've still got 10 inches in front of me before I even get to that point. A little bit less here, but loads of space. Certainly enough space for 2 people sleeping with their kit. I think 1.85 kilograms for a 2-man tent that doesn't need anything extra like ground sheets added to it is quite impressive, really is. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that this is a single pole and then the double at the back. Obviously you can see the little TVS system. When I'm lying down here, that's between me and the person next door or equipment, so that's not in my way. If it was, I could easily take it off and clip it up there. But again, in the radon 1, that tends to be like this between your legs, and then it kind of gets in your way a little bit. You'd probably only deploy that in really bad weather, but in this tent it's not that much of an issue. So the radon has these oval doors and single zip, and it goes back into this pocket. I love this. Watch this one-handed. Smooth as you like. Fantastic. A little bit snaggier on the way out. Put your foot there, and away she goes. Super good. You know, middle of the night, no messing about. So as to the size of the vestibule, I often do this. This is 200mm across here, so 100, 200, 500mm maybe across there. Still quite enough room at the head end here for boots. And I would normally put my bag down in there. Yeah, it's there's plenty of room here. You know, it's you could probably sit in here and zip a door open and cook in inclement weather, and then you've got the option of 1, 2, 3, 4 doors, depending on which way the wind's blowing. Makes life very easy to manage the weather in here. So I'm 5'10" and I've got 4 inches above my head. Beautiful thing is this is so vertical, so 4 inches enough. And then at my feet, I've probably got 10 inches to the bottom, but as you can see, my foot's just touching that there. But I've got my boots on, so when I've got my feet on my mat, my feet are probably going to be here somewhere. But then as you can see, when I do that, I'm not actually touching the inner. I don't know if you can see that. The inner is not until I'll get to about there. Not the inner, I mean the fly sheet. So there's a lot of, even though that's cut in that corner, there's plenty of room for that to be going up there without actually touching the fly. Obviously that'd be a bit different if it was windy at the foot end, but I think this is a very usable 2-man tent. I'm not feeling cramped here at all. You know, my arm is, I'm where I would be, and my arm is all the way out there, fully stretched till I get to the other point. So certainly big enough for 2. Sitting up's a doddle in it, loads of space. Just spotted another feature I didn't know. The TBX system that would normally go from here to here. There's another little, like a little carabiner clip, plastic carabiner clip, which means you can just clip it there, and now the line, instead of coming directly across and maybe being in the way a little bit, it just goes up to here. And I guess you can take it down in bad weather. Just undo that, tighten the line lock, and you're away. Storm worthy. Fantastic. So what do I think of the Vango Radon UL2? I think it's fantastic. I think for the weight and the features and the price point and the strength and the colour and the materials, it's flat out unbeatable. It really is. I think I personally think it's got MSR, Big Agnes, absolutely beaten for the price, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, they're a lighter, but I don't think they're a stronger. And this is it's fantastic. What I like about it is it's not too heavy. 1.85 kilograms. That's a one man weight all day long. When you consider it up against other more budget tents, which will come in at about 2 kilograms for a true one man tent. This is a true 2-man tent that comes in at 1.85k. You could run this solo. You could run it 2 up. It's almost a perfect backpacking tent. You know, you buy it, you use it, you go by yourself, you go with your dog, you go with your partner, you camp on a campsite. It's big enough. You put it in your bag. It's big. It's light enough. It's packed small enough. What a hit. I think one thing I would possibly change is this little point here. I think I would probably put a little guy on that instead of it being like that. Just make this gap underneath there a bit bigger. Just pull it out, give it a bit more tension. But overall, what a cracking thing. I really like it. Anyway, that's it for this review. Hope you enjoyed it. I think I'll be getting my Vango Radon 1 out and doing a review of that as well.